Ladies and gentlemen, we are just days away from the last meaningful NFL football game until September, or which will be taking place in Brazil. I still cannot believe that. That is something we're going to have to dive into, Aiden, because it could be Cowboys Eagles. I don't think any possible way it will be, but it could be. But there are so many things happening right now in terms of the landscape of the NFL. The Super Bowl, which we will touch on. The Dallas Cowboys making news because, well, that's what Jerry Jones does on Super Bowl week. The entire NFL always says, no one break any news during Super Bowl week because all we want is the focus on the game and Radio Row and nothing else. And here comes breaking news from Tom Pelissero that the Dallas Cowboys will be, in fact, hiring Mike Zimmer, former Minnesota Vikings head coach, as their defensive coordinator. Aiden, we were talking offline. It was pretty funny in the beginning. The people that they were interviewing, Ron Rivera, Rex Ryan came out of left field, and when Mike Zimmer was always, I don't know if I mentioned it to you, he was always someone I was interested in. He has connections with the Cowboys, obviously. He was the head coach. He always has had tough, hard-nosed defenses. That's how he coaches as well. And then Darren Woodson came out basically glowing about him, and this is the changes that they need and the type of defensive coach that they need, and now here he comes. So before we dive into all of that, Aiden, how are you?
I'm glad that I made it in this episode. I was getting a little worried that I wasn't going to make the cut. Jesus. I'm good. I'm back to reality. We both on trips this past week, kind of cut into Super Bowl week, which I'm fine with. I don't know if it's just me and because I'm in this, Eagles hangover. Last year, lead up to the Super Bowl, I consumed everything. The media day. I bought the hat that the Eagles wore for Media Day. I was watching Barstool Live radio every single day. Any podcast. I was searching just Radio Row in general on YouTube just to consume any Eagles Super Bowl content that I can. This week, we're both on vacation. We're both like, the game's coming. Woohoo. So I'm back to reality, locking in, a lot to talk about.
Including players getting attacked by coyotes and others being arrested in Las Vegas.
This was inevitable. That is great though. The coyote thing. I saw a coyote once. I'm not gonna lie to you. It freaked me out because I thought it was a dog. I was like, that's way too big to be a dog. That thing is an alien dog, and it was wild. And it just ran right past us. So I could see a little scary out there. Got to be careful out there. And that's so funny. They were so worried about all the headlines you could get into in Vegas, and the first headline was coyote attack. All the vices that you can get into in Las Vegas. Coyote attack. It's a week. That's what you want from Vegas, though. Crazy stuff, right?
It does look wild out there, right? I mean, I'm hearing about people paying $40 on Radio Row for a BLT, and then it's just it is.
I think you can get those in the Dominican Republic for a lot less.
Hey, you can buy an empanada on the beach in Puerto Rico for $4. Homemade.
Yeah, you can.
Homemade.
Yeah, homemade empanada.
But I'm kind of the same way, right? I have kind of still the hangover from the way the Cowboys season ended on such a high from a Eagles collapse, winning the division. You get the quote unquote team you want to play at home, the 7th seed, and then they just completely laid an egg, and now apparently they were just tired.
You're burnt out,
and it's like okay, and then McCarthy doesn't get fired, and then it looked like Quinn was going to come back and it was just going to run it back. So I'm kind of been in the same boat in terms of not locked in as much on this Super Bowl.
Yeah, I feel like I really can't tell if it's just us and our two teams just need to figure their own stuff out, and we're more focused on that, so we don't have a lot of excitement around the big game. But there's been multiple reports or clips or whatever that I've listened to this week that said this is the longest radio build-up week of all time. It's just there's not a lot. Vegas itself, there's always a lot going on, but in terms of coverage of the game, there's just not a lot going on.
Well, you mentioned it last week. Much of the country has Chiefs fatigue, so people are, okay, Mahomes has been here again. What else are we going to ask him about? Now his wife is apparently going to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated swimsuit. Nobody asked for that. And then people are either on one side or extremely on the other side about the Taylor Swift thing. I think it's more interesting. Just I would like, they should be like live streaming her leaving the concert and getting to the Super Bowl. Like that would be a very fun thing to watch.
Oh, definitely. Like NORAD tracks Santa.
Yep.
You ever do that where it's like, oh, right, he's in Luxembourg now. Next stop is coming up is London, England. It'll be like that. I love tracking flights. There's nothing better than seeing a plane in this. We talked about this, I think, before. I love just looking up like, all right, that is coming from Atlanta, landing in Philadelphia. It'll be there in 15 minutes because they fly right over my house. That's my favorite thing. You could do that for her. I will say this. We touched on the being Chiefs out. And people, the Taylor Swift debate is just exhausting at this point. She's going to be there. Accept it. It shouldn't bother you as much. It was nice to go on TikTok and not watch a debate about her attending games and see concert clips instead again. I was like, oh yeah, that was an amazing tour. Back when that was going, when the talk about Taylor Swift was about how she was an amazing artist and we didn't have to hear about people being upset that they show her in the suite for 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's not even 30 seconds. 30 seconds for an entire game. Just about.
Yeah.
But I do. You ever try? I was tracking the flight.
People, it does add to people being tired.
I actually tracked the flight coming to Puerto Rico, like my actual plane leaving Philadelphia. I was tracking it coming to where I was going to land and then come get me. You ever do that?
That's a smart idea. That's a very smart idea. So you know it's on time. I had a girl get arrested on my flight last night on the row across from me.
For?
She was
Live
on
streaming
something.
OnlyFans?
The way she was talking to the stranger next to her, if they would have got up and went to the bathroom, I would not have been at all shocked or surprised. But I'll say sneaking alcohol, but sneaking is definitely not the synonym I should be using, given how obvious it was. But you can't bring your own alcohol on a plane. FAA violation. I actually learned that yesterday because they had a sticker on my beer at the airport. So I was like, oh, yeah. So she did not know that clearly because she was just bringing out shooters again and again and again, not even mixing it into mixed drinks, just ripping shots. And, yeah, they arrested her when we landed. Crazy.
Welcome for Flight Talk. I also had to fly with the peasants and my wife because she's not a TSA pre, and usually
this
I leave
is a big
her
debate in my life,
but she's pregnant, so I was like, I will stay with you. But at least they give you a little slip, and then I still don't have to take my shoes off and stuff. But I hate having to take stuff out of my bag. I hate it so much. Like, let me just leave. I don't want to take my iPad out, my liquids out. Like, if you're TSA pre, it's just you just walk through,
and the line is 10 times shorter.
God. Yeah,
this has been a big thing because I am a peasant. I'm a common man with a common purpose, and I
for it.
Don't have TSA pre.
TSA pre. It's like $80 for 5 years.
I have to. Yeah, exactly. I have to at this point because I'm holding people back when I'm going through the airport now because I don't have it. And I'll say what in Philly, I did not have to take my laptop out of my bag though, so that was good.
Look at you.
I know, moving up in the world. And that was Flight Talk.
I also think I don't know. Maybe it's the Brock Purdy thing. Like
that's another thing. I can't. I hate the 49ers. He's a good quarterback. That's it. Like, sorry. It's just not. They're not interesting debates leading up to this.
No.
And I feel like at least last year, again, biased, but I thought there were interesting game debates to be had last year. I don't know about this year.
And it's kind of interesting because like the 49ers have a lot of personalities on their team, right? They have Debo, they have Trent Williams, Fred Warner,
Kittle,
Greenlaw, but it just seems like, the biggest headlines going in is this damn UNLV field that they have to practice on.
Oh, you don't even want to know my thoughts, my intrusive thoughts about the 49ers complaining about the grass after every goddamn comment on our Instagram and a 10-second clip of me complaining about the grass is just, oh, you're making excuses. Like, you're making excuses before the game is even played. It's just wild to me. It's just, I can't. I'm still on vacation mode. Whew, Got to keep it level. Let's talk about the game. We'll get into that before we get into the Eagles game.
I have no idea. I have no feel for this game.
Me neither. Actually, I do. I have a feel that I'm worried about, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. Last year, the concept was the Eagles are the better team, but the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes. Most of the people were on the Eagles. They're like, Mahomes is going to have to do this by himself. Well, Jalen Hurts ended up with the second highest QBR in Super Bowl history. The offense put up 35. They lost because Mahomes was Mahomes. This year, it's the same concept where the 49ers appear to have the better team on both sides of the ball.
Yep.
But the Chiefs have Mahomes. And because of what happened last year, I feel like a lot of people have now flipped a 180 and they're now on the Chiefs with Mahomes, which scares me that the victor will then flip again and be the 49ers.
And I think also people are
Ruin my life.
on the Chiefs because of what's been happening in this playoffs, right? The Chiefs have gone on the road 2 straight weeks, and they've pretty much dominated through the playoffs, where the 49ers, who was this dominant force through the regular season, they were at home, struggled with the Packers, dead to rights against the Lions. If they only kick a couple of field goals, they are dead.
Yeah.
And they're, I don't want to say limping into the Super Bowl, but kind of backed themselves into the Super Bowl.
This feels like a game. I'm not saying that this will happen. I doubt that it would. If it's 17-0, 24-0 Chiefs, we wake up Monday morning, play Monday morning quarterback, and we say, oh, the signs were there with the 49ers. Now, again, this is a clean slate. They could just go on a roll, pulverize this Chiefs team, and I wouldn't be shocked either. But if that does happen, we'd say to ourselves, the signs were there this whole playoff because they had no business winning either of the games that they won.
Nope. And I think that's what haunts Cowboys fans even more, because they're like, well, see, they were gettable. Now, I'm not saying they were gettable by the Cowboys, because Superman still always struggles with kryptonite, even if it's light kryptonite. But I think that's what hurts Cowboys fans even more, that because they saw how the 49ers played against both the Packers, who beat you, and the Lions, who would have beaten you. I just, that's just, I think, the sugar on top of the shit cake for Cowboys fans.
Sugar on top of the shit cake sounds like one of those Jerry Jones euphemisms you hear when he's on his radio show on Tuesday after just another devastating Cowboys
And
loss.
he talks about circumcising mosquitoes.
Have you? Never mind. I was going to get off a whole nother tangent.
Probably, yes. I probably have.
That show, Naked and something. No. Well, that too. The Naked show on HBO Max.
Oh, I've heard of it, yeah, but I haven't. Where they just like see each other naked and then they date or something.
Yeah, a little gross. I'm not gonna lie. Talking about circumcisions. Yeah, this is what like this is. I'm complaining like, oh, there's no build up for the Super Bowl. God, I wish my team was playing, because you start when you don't have your NFL team, you go real searching for content to consume. But we were watching it as a group the other night, and it was a very funny experience where I was just like, ew.
I will say this for your sake. I don't know what you're doing for the Super Bowl, if you're going to a party or what, but enjoy
I actually don't know.
Okay. Because once you have a child who goes to sleep at 7, everyone's like, what are you doing for the Super Bowl? I'm like,
Nothing.
be at home. Watching it like any other Sunday football.
Hey, if it makes you feel any better, I don't really have a Super Bowl party, so maybe we'll come over to your house.
Come on over.
All right.
It's fine with me.
Cool. Tell Lisa we're coming.
She'll be fine.
All right.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm rooting for the Chiefs. It's fun. It's
Understatement of the century over here.
My wife is not.
Are you?
She is.
Why?
Because she just hates what the Chiefs did to the Eagles last year. She just, I don't know.
Never mind. I'm not coming over.
She's just, she's never had to deal with 49ers fans.
Please tell her that I wanted to come over, and now I do not want any more to come over. Please tell her that.
Oh, she's like, can we just for once root for the same team?
This is where I draw the line.
Yep.
Listen,
I
if it were Hamas or the 49ers,
the
I don't know
Hamas,
where my allies lie.
the San Francisco Hamas and Niners.
Hamas and Niners.
Yeah, so it's the Super Bowl. It's a football game. It's
Woo.
Mahomes. It's funny. I was thinking the other day, I'm like, wait, what Super Bowl has Mahomes not been in the last couple of years? And I was like, oh yeah, the Rams.
Rams Bengals. Yep. Joe Burrow's the only one who's done it against him. Brady beat him in the AFC Championship 2018. Yes. I think it was Mahomes' first year as starter, but that was the GOAT of all time. I think we talked about this. Oh, I wanted to bring this up for you because you brought up Steve Spagnuolo. Mm-hmm. Andy Reid, if he wins this, goes into greatest of all time debates. Mm-hmm. Patrick Mahomes, if he wins this, we see the trajectory that he is going to become the greatest of all time. Steve Spagnuolo, they did a report on NFL Network today that his wife moved back to Kansas City for the season. She wasn't there last year. It's made it easier for him to coach with him being there. So, fellas, good reminder, if you find the right one, make sure you're with her and good things will happen. You become greatest defensive coordinator of all time.
It's not that hard. Speaking of
not hard
coaches and women and wives, have you seen all these reports on the new Carolina Panthers coach who was the Tampa Bay offensive coordinator?
I think I've heard about this. I like him as a coordinator, by the way. I thought the Bucs were good. He wrote a book with his wife on marriage.
Yeah, because he was a complete degenerate and was completely just banging everything in sight while married to her, cheated on her on his bachelor party. He was doing all sorts of drugs, binge drinking constantly.
While they were married?
Yeah, well, while they were married, his wife had to get multiple STD checks because he was also not using protection while cheating on her. And then I think he found Jesus, and they wrote a religion book about marriage, and this dude was wild. Now he doesn't drink, he doesn't curse, nothing.
He's the guy you met on the beach who was worried that his virgin daiquiri and the pineapple wasn't virgin, and he's like, if I have a sip of alcohol, this becomes a Category 5 tornado disaster. That's that guy. But he's also the coach of the Panthers, so okay.
I was just like,
wow, that's a crazy story.
Wild.
That is wild. Congrats to the Panthers. They know how to pick them. I'll tell you what.
I still can't believe this coaching cycle came and went like that, and the greatest coach of all time. It's funny too. I don't know if you saw the reports today. Basically, like Arthur Blank kind of did offer the job to Belichick, and we don't know if he turned it down or what. That's complete like Belichick PR coming out and be like, it wasn't up to my stand. I said no.
Well, it is the Falcons. So, in his defense, I might take his word. Him and Variable not getting jobs is surprising, but at the same time, take a year. Yep. Take a year, get that fire back, get that, especially Belichick being that old, get that fire back, have a great time, and, kind of sometimes taking some PTO gets you back on track.
And if you think about next year's coaching cycle, right, the Eagles could be possibly looking for a coach. The Cowboys could be possibly looking for a coach.
I was going to say, we talked about this at the end of the year. If you are a coach who's in a gap year, who is not meeting expectations, this would be a really bad year to screw up.
And here we are. And also, there could be another big name thrown in there that I think you or I would both enjoy as a coach. It is a possibility that Tomlin walks away from Pittsburgh. You could literally have Mike Tomlin, Vrabel, and Belichick all out there next year.
Here's the one take that I have where I don't agree with the Eagles fans. Sirianni is becoming like the CEO. Like, he's not calling the plays on offense. He's obviously not the defensive coordinator. People are upset by that. I'm not upset by that. If he needs to focus on other things like game management, managing the roster, managing the locker room, fine. Like, you can't want Tomlin and then say Sirianni can't be the CEO. That's the same thing. Vrabel doesn't call the plays. Yep. Tomlin doesn't call the plays. Belichick gave defensive coordinator to his son. Yep. This kind of just how the NFL works. So I don't get that Eagles fans are upset about that, but those are guys that I would love. And again, if I were two coaches who didn't meet expectations this year, and you're in a gap year, and there's some Hall of Fame level coaches coming available, I would probably not screw up.
I would probably win the football games.
I'd probably not choke to the Packers and not absolutely collapse for a month straight.
Mm-hmm. I would maybe, I don't know, not throw it on 2nd and 14 against the Lions where you could just run out the clock. I don't know. Dumbass.
That was wild. That was also wild.
Or maybe, I will say though, Aiden, you now have Mr. Kellen Moore, who 2 years ago said he could not find the play clock in the stadium to run the play in time. Remember that?
I thought that was Mike McCarthy who couldn't find the play clock to call timeout. Neither of them. What a brain trust. Mm-hmm. That's why we have Sirianni be the CEO. All he has to do is look at the clock.
Yep, find the clock.
That's his whole job. Just make sure the play clock doesn't wind down.
Speaking of jobs,
yeah,
and coaching jobs, right? So we know that
big week.
Dan Quinn is now hired and officially signed, sealed, and delivered to the Commanders. Interesting that all the other hirings this year got 6-year deals. He only got a 4-year deal, and I think we all know,
you know why?
Because he was not who he really wanted.
No, because they have an owner who's a cheap piece of shit. If you follow the NBA trade downline, that's why.
Yeah, he just traded Joel
Embiid
to the Commanders.
Yeah.
And everybody else. What happened today? My phone just kept blowing up. I was like, what? They just...
You know that that meme where he's like, all right, that's good. All right, that's good. And they keep like putting pie on the plate. He's like, all right, enough. That's how I felt with the Sixers, where I was like, oh, we got Buddy Hield. Oh, we traded Daniel House. That makes sense. We're cutting some salary. Oh, we traded Pat Bev. Why are we doing that? We traded Janice Berger. All right, enough. Stop. We're not going to have enough people to fill the team.
Your phone was like ding, ding.
It happened. I was in a meeting too, and I can just see the notifications coming in. And I just opened it, and it's like, Pat Beverly is now in Milwaukee Bucks. Jaden Springer traded to the Celtics. And I just looked at it, and I was like, all right, back to work. This is a disaster.
You put the phone down, and then you get, excuse me, Aiden, what is the Drake video?
Yeah. I didn't know how to answer that.
Oh, God. But
I didn't want to get in trouble with HR.
Nope. So Dan Quinn hired in Washington, and I have 2 things to talk about with this. One, Tony Pollard was on the Pat McAfee show today from Radio Row in Las Vegas, and they were asking
we will be
him,
next year.
Huh?
We will be there next year.
Yes, we will.
Setting the goal.
I think it was AJ Hawk was asking him about Dan Quinn. Like Dan Quinn
That's miraculous
has been
that he spoke.
has been hired by Washington. What kind of coach is he? How do you think he's going to do? That was the exact moment Tony Pollard learned that Dan Quinn was hired by Washington Commanders.
He didn't know.
He had no idea.
I respect that. That's a guy with a foot out the door. Doesn't care. Not looking back.
Absolutely no idea.
He's SpongeBob leaving rock bottom. Never going back. Doesn't care.
I was just like, what? And it's just interesting to me too. Is like they were talking to him as a Dallas Cowboy, and I guess technically he still is, but they're like asking him questions about next year. I'm like, guys, he's not going to be there.
Yeah, he's not going to be there. Hey, that's the level. As someone who had a player today, Britton Covey talked to our guy Chase Senior on Radio Row, and he said that a lot of the negative outside noise made it into the locker room and was negatively impacting the team. I'd like it to be more like Tony Pollard, where he doesn't even realize what's going on in the outside world. He didn't even realize that his coach got a different job.
He said he got rid of all social media in like October. He's like, I just couldn't deal with it.
I don't blame him. AJ Brown did the same thing. It was like World War III.
That would have been funny if he just, every question they asked him, he was just like, I broke my leg a year ago.
Yes. That'd be the first question that if we were at Radio Row, it'd be my first question. Like, so how did you rehab and get back into that?
I broke my leg a year ago.
I broke my leg.
The second part of Dan Quinn, so he has been sniffing around the Cowboys' defensive coaching staff and offensive coaching staff to try and bring coaches over to the Commanders. We all, I think, heard the Al Harris quotes a couple weeks ago that he would go to Alaska to coach with Dan Quinn. So the Commanders requested to interview Al Harris as well as Lunda Wells, who is the Cowboys tight ends coach. They wanted to hire him for the offensive line coach, and the Cowboys basically gave them the big double middle finger and denied both.
That's brutal because that would be promotions for both of those guys. That feels unfair.
No, they would be there. So tight ends coach to offensive line coach.
That's an upgrade.
No, it's basically just considered still an assistant. You would have to be going to a coordinator position.
Okay.
So like
it just feels more important.
It does.
I guess.
It does, but I guess it's still a position group coach. You're not a coordinator. Now, if they wanted to interview Al Harris for the defensive coordinator position, the Cowboys couldn't block it.
Why aren't they?
I don't know.
I think he's kind of a big name.
Yep.
Might be ready for the next step. I'm surprised that they wouldn't want to.
Unless Dan Quinn's not hiring a DC and he's going to run it, but.
Don't you still hire one though? Like
yeah, you could.
He could run the defense while still having a defensive
if you want
coordinator.
Him that bad, why wouldn't you just give him the title?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you keep control over the defense and you still have your right hand man on the ship, that might not be the last of that one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. I'm sure they could find a way around it, but I hope not. I hope Al Harris stays.
He's a good coach. Yeah, he is.
But the only thing now is the Cowboys have apparently hired, I don't think it's done yet, but they intend to hire Mike Zimmer as their new defensive coordinator. Like I was saying earlier, the NFL says we don't want storylines during Super Bowl week. All we want to talk about is the Super Bowl and Jerry Jones being Jerry Jones, another double middle finger. And it's leaking out that Zimmer is going to be the defensive coordinator. Aiden, they interviewed Ron Rivera. I was not very thrilled with that. If you follow me on Twitter, KMS22, you saw my poolside drink filled tweet that Aiden put out.
I've never been more sure of a tweet coming from the poolside bar than you power ranking the list of people you'd like for defensive coordinator
and putting on
the names that were on it before Ron Rivera.
Irv Blitzer. I will admit though, because I did get smashed by a couple people, Ted Lasso was a little too low on my list.
He get the guys believing.
Yep. But Rex Ryan, Ron Rivera was just like, oh God, what are we doing here? So Mike Zimmer was kind of always the guy I honed in on. Tough nose, like I said, it just seems like the defense needs that type of guy, like a no bullshit. Not every player is going to want to come and play for him, but you're going to fucking work every goddamn day. It's another big personality. He's been there before. He has respect there before. I'm sure he has guys that he's coached in the past he's gonna want to bring in. Maybe there's a free agent or two that have played for him that now will want to come to Dallas and play. So I'm actually thrilled about this. Now, if they were hiring him as the head coach, I don't think I'd be too thrilled about that. But all he has to worry about is putting together defenses and stopping defenses or stopping new age offenses, which we have seen in Minnesota the last couple of years when he was there, the ability to do that. They had some great defenses. He did it in Dallas before. I think this is the right hire.
This is a smart hire. I think it's a common sense hire. I think he'll be great. I echo the sentiment that you have where you want your defensive coordinator to be rough and tumble. We talked about this with Vic Fangio. This is the guy that I want. Yep. I don't want somebody like if they said about the defensive coordinator. And listen, Dan Quinn was a player's coach and everybody loved him. But it just feels like I want my defense coordinator to be like, not everybody can play for this guy because he's a little rough. Yeah. Good. Exactly. That's what I'm going for. So I think that's a great hire by them. A guy who is anxious and ambitious to get back into the league. And Zimmer, I watched a few interviews with him where he was at home. He lives on like a ranch in Wyoming or somewhere.
Literally.
Just Yep. That's exactly where I want my defensive coordinator to be from. I want him to ride a horse into town.
And Darren
That's the
Woodson,
level of hard nose I want.
Darren Woodson was saying he calls him 2 to 3 times a week to talk football, to talk NFL, to talk players. He's like, he is so locked in and still invested in the game. Like, this is the guy that you want, rather than getting Rex Ryan from the ESPN booth, who hasn't been
Yeah,
in the
because
league.
you always have that. You always have that out where he could just go back to ESPN, cushy job on Get Up and talk about the Cowboys' problems, and it's a lot easier than putting together game plans. He doesn't want to go back to that ranch.
No, he does not. He wants.
He wants to coach the boys up.
Yep. Which I'm excited for this. I think this is the type of guy that they need, and we'll see what kind of free agents they get now, since they are all in.
Yeah, let me know how that goes.
All in. So
All in.
It also goes to the fact of bringing that hard nose attitude, because Aiden, what do you like to do? You like to punch a motherfucker in the mouth, right? And when he doesn't get up, you just punch him again, and you punch him again, and you punch him again. But then at the end of the season, you're too tired to play the biggest game of the season.
Thank you. I'm so glad you brought this up. If you missed it, DeMarcus Lawrence was at Radio Row, like a lot of guys in the league, and he was on First Take, I believe, with Shannon Sharp. Yep. And they asked him, what happened? How did you lose? Why are you not here playing in the Super Bowl? DeMarcus Lawrence credited the Packers with their game plan and said they made adjustments, but they just didn't have enough. But the biggest takeaway, he said that the Cowboys were burnt out at the end of the season. So, yeah, I knew that clip would come back, and I said it to you the day after it happened, when he was like, oh, punch a motherfucker in the mouth, punch a motherfucker in the mouth, when they beat the Eagles in early December. And I said, you never do it when you play the 49ers in January. You get one round KO'd. And what happened? One round KO.
It's true.
Oh.
Now,
Remind me to tweet this after the show.
DeMarcus Lawrence he's always known as a guy that doesn't have a filter, right? And I feel like he kind of put a muzzle on himself a little bit and didn't want to point fingers at anybody.
You could see it in real time.
Yeah.
If you watch that interview. Yeah. He said, maybe we were burnt out. And then he was like, well, we got to give the Packers credit. Yeah. It was just one of those, he realized very quickly, this could go bad.
It's just, you just give credit. We lost the game. We weren't good enough. They were better that day. You don't have to give everybody fuel to the fire of we were tired, especially when you have a coach that is all about rest days and making sure players are healthy and happy. And, everyone loves Mike McCarthy because he likes to let people leave the meeting room to text their significant others that they love them. And he lets family members come on Saturday so he can meet them, and la-di-da-di-da. And here comes Mike Zimmer riding in on a fucking horse to tell everybody to shut up and play football.
Mm-hmm. No, he was in the show Yellowstone. Now he's coaching up the boys. He's gotta figure out this Micah Parsons thing where they roll away from his side, run at him. Yep. It's the same blueprint every single time. So that's Mike Zimmer's job. And DeMarcus Lawrence said that in the interview. And that's show business, though. Mm-hmm. He said 90% of the right things, but 10% of it, your eyes are wide. You're burnt out in the first round against the 7 seed at home. And because you blamed it because you were healthy all year, so the team played more. Yeah. Oof.
It's just
rough.
No, stop. Just go home.
Well, they are home.
Yeah, they are. They're home. Well, no, a lot of them are in Vegas.
Who is in Vegas? Us.
Isn't it so interesting to me, all the amount of players that aren't playing?
Yeah.
Especially I saw a bunch of Lions that are there. How could you even be there?
I don't know.
When you could be playing in that game. Should be playing in that game.
Yeah, that's the one team if you weren't. You know who? I haven't seen many Bills players. No. There's a few Eagles there. Eagles.
That's another Jason, job obviously. I could see being open next year if they fail to hit expectations again.
The Bills? Mm-hmm. That's my favorite story of the year. If we did an impromptu awards, we should do impromptu awards. I know they're doing their award show tonight or tomorrow where it's MVP, Offensive Player of the Year. We should do best storylines, and it's the Bills coach comparing his group of guys to the hijackers on 9/11 as a camaraderie motivational story.
And then
Like, we got to be like the guys who hijacked the plane is my favorite story of the year.
and then basically,
And then they went on
going
a winning
tear
streak.
after that.
Yeah, then they didn't lose till they lost to the Chiefs. They didn't lose another game.
It's unbelievable.
That's incredible. It's hilarious.
How does that even happen?
I have no idea.
He's like, you got to give them credit for their resolve. They were really locked in on their plan.
They didn't get burnt out.
We just got kicked off YouTube.
He said it, not us. We're reporting on the news.
Yes, exactly. Like Tucker Carlson interviewing Vladimir Putin for 2 hours and 7 minutes.
That's also wild.
So yeah, I mean that's basically what I got with the Cowboys. You know, we will now, after this game concludes, really start to get locked in on the draft, free agency, who the targets are. You know, there's Derrick Henry, you know, Patrick Queen, all these big, high-priced free agents that are being linked to the Cowboys. Shiny new toys.
Oh, it's about to be shiny new toys season. It's my favorite time of year.
When does
best.
free agency starts in March, right? Because it's before the draft.
Right.
Yeah.
For us, it starts on Monday, baby.
Amen.
Well, I'm talking Patrick Queen every day till I
God.
turn blue.
You can keep Darius. You won Darius Leonard. No, I would Patrick Queen.
That would, you know what? That'd be a very not good second place prize.
Did he even finish with double-digit tackles?
I don't know. Did anyone on the team finish with double-digit tackles the last month of the season? Felt like not a single person made a tackle. That was brutal. That was bad. I got off the plane at Tampa, and you can see Raymond James Stadium, and I was like, scene of the crime.
Can you believe Baker Mayfield is going to be getting like $40 million a year now?
Probably. Good. Hold on. I would actually like to say good for him.
Yeah.
I feel like he got the short end of the stick in Cleveland. I maintained that he's a good quarterback. Like, everyone wrote him off to be a bad quarterback. I'm like, he's not an elite quarterback, but he's not bad. He's not bad.
I mean, he could have thrown for 500 yards against the Eagles if they didn't have 17 drops.
Yeah.
Literally.
Thank goodness. God has saved us from even more embarrassing.
Another free agent, shiny new toy, Mike Evans. Come on down.
Could you imagine?
Mike Evans, CD Lamb, and
He is the model of consistency.
Dude.
When it's all said and done, when you're having your conversation with your buddies and you're naming random NFL wide receivers, Hill will be number one. Because I feel like in terms of accolades, he doesn't have money. But if you look at his stats year after year, he shows up, names Harry Potter characters, and gets over 1,000 yards received. He's just a monster.
oh, he does.
It's been that way since Texas A&M. Him and Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield was like, oh, Mike Evans is down there somewhere. I'm just going to throw it up and see what happens. It's my favorite thing to watch. That's football and it's all its beauty.
The NFL Honors is on right now, and they just announced Defensive Player of the Year. Aiden, who do you think that is?
I feel like I'm missing someone because I think my choice at the beginning of the year is TJ Watt. Who is it?
Myles Garrett.
I was going to say Myles Garrett. I actually think you said Myles Garrett. No, you said Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
One of us said Myles Garrett last
He
year.
had 14 sacks.
Okay. Well, I think we're going to nail a lot of our predictions in the offseason. I went back and looked, and we got between the two of us, either one of I think Defensive Player of the Year is the only one we're not going to get somebody right.
Who we have for MVP?
I had Lamar.
You did have Lamar. Good for you. Who do I have?
I don't remember. It might have been Joe Burrow.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I forget, though. You had somebody that it made sense, but
Didn't happen.
No, you had Aaron Rodgers. You had Aaron Rodgers.
Did I really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. 43 seconds into the season.
Well, you were out early.
I'd rather die quick. Rather die quick.
just like the Cowboys in the playoff game. Rodgers' Achilles got burnt out real early. Damn.
Oh God! All right, what do you have? Anything happening in Eagle Land?
We're going to Brazil. If you were a friend or a family member of mine, And you would like to see me do it in the next 7 months because I'm not coming back.
You going to Brazil?
I will do anything to go to that game, and there's no chance I come back.
When I saw that, I was like, week 1?
That's crazy. Also, just to tie some of these storylines together tonight, I'd assume we talked about it. It probably is not going to be a game like Cowboys Eagles. It'll probably be like a lesser opponent. Could be the Panthers. I feel like their coach shouldn't go to Brazil.
Probably not a good idea.
They're going to have to write a sequel to that book.
He's like, listen,
It's not gonna be good.
I'm going to start week 2
Yeah.
in Houston.
He's going to have the shortest tenure ever. Yeah. He might even make it to the game day. They play on a Friday, so he's not even going to make it to the first Sunday of the NFL season. If they can't send that team to Brazil.
Listen, guys,
All I know is
I'm going to stay in Carolina. I'll meet you guys week 2 in Green Bay, where there's nothing to do.
That brother signed up for Charlotte, not Rio de Janeiro. It's very different. He's going to be sleeping in an alley in the middle of Brazil. They were like, where's Coach? He's missed a bus. You're like, oh, he's gone. He's going to be. Remember when Ryan Lochte got in trouble because he was like, knocked down the door at the club? That's going to be the Panthers coach.
No chance. No chance.
No chance.
You know the owner of the Panthers is like, please, we're not going to Brazil. Do not.
Oh, but he'll be right there with them. He won't survive it either. He couldn't handle Jacksonville.
No.
He threw a drink on a Jacksonville fan. He can't handle Brazil.
He'll get shot.
No, yeah, exactly. He will not do well.
I could see it being like Pittsburgh. I think they played Pittsburgh at home this year.
We do. No, we play them away. We play Cleveland at home. I think that's a viable option.
Yes.
We play Cincinnati at home. I might be mixing these up.
I don't know if they put
No.
Joe Burrow
No,
in his return in Brazil.
no. I'm probably messing this up. I think we actually do play the Steelers at home. Yeah, we play the Steelers at home, and we play the Browns at home. I think the most likely ones would be NFC South. It would be Falcons or Panthers. I went to the Eagles-Falcons game in Atlanta. One of the best tailgate experiences because they don't care about the game at all.
No.
They are food. They have their own bartender with Hennessy flows like the Niagara Falls up in Toronto in Canada. If we take that tailgate with those two fan bases to Brazil, I'm never coming back. That's it. Done. I'm not coming home.
There's no reason.
I'm staying there forever.
There's no reason to come back.
No, I can't top that. Falcons, Eagles tailgate in Brazil. That's it. I'm done.
I don't think, and that was the game, wasn't it? His first game ever. Slim Reaper had a touchdown, right?
Yep, it was Nick Sirianni versus Arthur Smith.
Yep.
First game for both of those coaches. First start for Jalen Hurts, named starter, and rookie season Devontae Smith. First drive of the season was a touchdown catch. Devontae Smith over the shoulder.
I was in Atlantic City watching that with the Brandon boys.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that. That was a good time.
That was the same season we did the live stream Cowboys Eagles Sunday night game.
The boxing ring.
That was fun.
I did not have as much fun that time.
Yeah,
we got our.
I don't think it's an NFC East opponent because I don't see.
I don't think
you don't give up a home game in division.
Yeah, I was going to say, I just don't think you can give that up. Contractually, I feel like you can't give that up because they're not going to. Like, for instance, the Eagles and the Cowboys always play Sunday Night Football once a year, and they're always the Fox game of the week. Those games aren't. This game's going to be on ESPN, I believe. They're not going to. Contractually, I don't even think that they can give this up. That we would play each other in Brazil.
And the Eagles Cowboys games always they don't need like a gimmick to draw ratings.
They don't need to play in Brazil. Like the whole idea behind this rivalry is it's the biggest home game of the year. They're not going to send it to South America.
No. I can't believe they're playing in Brazil.
Me neither. As soon as they said they're doing a game in Brazil, I was like, it's going to be the Eagles, and I'm going. I've been mentally prepped for this for a long time.
Did you also see 2026 FIFA, the Philadelphia Lincoln Financial Field will be getting a round of 16 game played on the 4th of July, which will be the 250th anniversary of 1776, and I fully
Hell
intend on that game being U.S. England.
It would be incredible. And as a city, Philadelphia has always gotten a bad reputation from the rest of the country for our fans. You're going to want our fans that day. If we're playing against Great Britain in the World Cup, in the anniversary of the Revolutionary War and the Declaration of Independence and beating those motherfuckers the first time, you're going to want every one of our fans in that stadium going nuts.
We're done.
Christian Pulisic, who's from Hershey, like an hour and a half from Philadelphia, he's going to have the whole town out there. That's going to be electric.
We're going to be dumping tea into the Schuylkill.
Yeah, we are. You know someone will have that gimmick. Actually, mark this down that we remember in a year and a half, we'll do the gimmick to get the viral sensation out of it.
I am 100% going to that. I don't know if I will be in the stadium, but I'm at least 100% tailgating that game.
I will be in Xfinity Live. The Philadelphia tried to get every All-Star game for the 2026 for the 250th anniversary of the country. So they have the MLB All-Star game. And they won the bid for FIFA as well, so they'll have games there on the 4th of July weekend. So they have a lot going on. So that'll be actually back-to-back weeks, believe it or not, because that'll be 4th of July weekend, round of 16, FIFA World Cup. The next week will be the MLB All-Star game in Philadelphia. So that'll be a time to be alive. I will come back from Brazil for those games. Speaking
of FIFA and the NFL, isn't it just incredible that there's a survey basically like 92% of NFL players want to just play on grass, and NFL owners are like, no, turf, but yet they're bidding for these World Cup games where FIFA will demand that they install real grass. Like MetLife Stadium is going to have grass when they play the championship game.
How? We've been begging for this.
FIFA will not. You have to play on grass.
FIFA. Listen, they're corrupt, but they get their way. Mm-hmm. How do they get grass? Keep the grass.
Yeah, I know.
So it can be done.
Yes. Oh,
we just haven't done it.
Because NFL teams love having turf because it's just easier to have other events there, and you don't have to worry about the grass and this and that.
It's 20,005 and 6. Who cares? Yeah. Like Glendale, Arizona has turf outside. They move it inside. Then they move it outside
Vegas
on a conveyor.
That's what Vegas is doing right now. Literally, the Super Bowl field is just sitting outside getting sun, and they're going to wheel it in.
Why? We can definitely figure this out. I know there are colleges across the country who can figure out how to grow grass. I know we are there.
Can't you just I watched my neighbor this summer. Like they just ripped up his entire yard and just put new grass down, and it looked great.
I don't get why the Giants and Jets don't complain about this more. Because I feel like every time I watch a game, somebody gets hurt, and it's not always just I get frustrated with
this year again.
Why? That's it. If you'd power rank the stadiums, that would be in my bottom.
I can't believe they got the championship game for FIFA.
Crazy. The only thing I can think is New York, just like the media build up for it and everything like that. But yeah, aside from that, where's a crazy soccer place is actually Atlanta. They have a semifinal, and people were like, "Whoa, why?" Atlanta's actually a huge soccer community. I did not realize this for a long time. They sell out Mercedes-Benz Stadium for their soccer team. Crazy.
I just know there's going to be crazy, European fans that come, and they're going to go into MetLife Stadium and be like, "This is shit."
They're gonna come over. The first Surfside iced tea at Xfinity that hits the lips of a Netherlands guy might kill him.
This is delicious. God bless America.
Yeah, they're never going back.
You're gonna trade places with Neymar. He's gonna come and stay in Philly, and you're gonna go to Brazil.
Could you imagine? Oh man!
All right. Final official predictions of the Super Bowl before we get out of here.
I'm going to end it with a take. I have a hot take that I would like to debut.
Okay.
And it's Super Bowl related. If the 49ers lose this game, they will become the Eagles of the early 2000s in that era. You will be the next best, the silver medal team of the decade. There is a dynasty ahead of you, and you weren't good enough to beat said dynasty. You look at it in the early 2000s, the Eagles went to 4 NFC championships. They went to the Super Bowl. They lost to the Patriots. During that time, it was a great run of Eagles football. Great run. But the Patriots won 3 Super Bowls. We had none. If you are now the Niners, you have gone to multiple NFC championships and lost, and you would have gone to 2 Super Bowls now and lost to the Chiefs. Meanwhile, the Chiefs would have 3 Super Bowls. You will become the early 2000s Eagles, and you're just the next best thing. That's all you'll be if you lose this game.
It's true. It shows that they can't get over the hump, which is Patrick Mahomes. I mean,
You wasted your window, and the window just coincided with Mahomes.
Yep. And it's I would love to see what truly happens if they lose this game, because Brock Purdy, like you said, he's a good quarterback. He was in the MVP race, but it just seems like Kyle Shanahan still wants somebody else. Even though he runs his offense perfectly, like if Kirk Cousins comes available, Shanahan's always been in love with Kirk Cousins. He was apparently he called Brady at the end of last season.
Crazy.
What?
Right? It's wild. But, hey, another part of that is he could be – I think Purdy's actually a good quarterback.
So do I.
He's a good part of the reason why he's a good quarterback is you're paying him 7th round money. Right. You're not doing that forever. All of a sudden, these contracts are going to start to add up if you have to pay him. So you lose here, it becomes a lot more interesting when the paydays are coming.
All of a sudden, you're paying
rent's due at the first of the month.
$60 million a year.
So it sneaks up on you quickly. You get burnt out, and all of a sudden, you have a $60 million tab.
I was like, wait, didn't Dak just signed?
The Cowboys are like the group that goes to bottomless brunch and overdoes it and like almost blacks out, and then you get the bill and you're like, oh, I can't believe it's that much. Like, you just had 7,000 bottles of champagne and orange juice. What did you think the bill was going to be? That's the Cowboys who like have gone through year after year of these painful playoff losses, and then they get the bill at the end. It's like $60 million.
Yep.
I can't believe it was that much.
They're at the all-you-can-eat sushi buffet, and they tell you if you don't eat everything on your plate, we charge you more. And then they're like trying to stuff the sushi in their pockets as they're leaving. Like, nope. We have to add $50 million
over the
more
shoulder.
on your bill. Thank you very much.
Like in Christmas Vacation when she's like, throws it over her shoulder.
I was at a
Dried
sushi buffet
turkey.
once, and the guy, like one of the guys, there was so much left on our table we were gonna throw up. And one of my buddies is like bringing it to the bathroom in his pockets, flushing it down the toilet.
Do what you got to do.
Absolutely.
That's funny. Your take for the game.
Yeah, I'm feeling Chiefs. I don't know why. I think we do know why. It's the Patrick Mahomes show. Everything in my soul is saying that the 49ers should win this game, but everything in the rest of my body, including my heart and my brain, is telling me to vote go Patrick Mahomes. I don't know how. I don't know why. I just feel like the way that they've been playing in the playoffs, it just seems like I don't want to say they're a Cinderella story, but it almost feels like they are, even though they have the greatest player in the world. The whole Travis Kelce thing, just everything. Andy Reid, could he win this and then retire and be in that talk of greatest of all time? Hey, who knows? They could win this game, and I could see both Spagnuolo and Andy Reid ride into the sunset.
Me too. I don't think Travis is that far.
I don't think so either. Who knows? He could retire and go off in the greatest, winning 2 in a row, beating his brother, and then literally winning with Taylor Swift. Like, what?
He'll just be an Eras Tour groupie and follow the concert. I think that's actually most of our dreams.
How big their podcast is, like, it's just, I don't know.
That'd be a plot twist if Travis retired before Jason.
When Jason comes back. Is he coming back now?
I think he'll do one more year. I'm starting to really believe that he's coming back.
Listen, I'm going to say this, Jason. I love you. Don't do the Brett Favre thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Either way, if he wants to be a family man, be a family man. But I feel like he's leaning one more year. It's hard to let go. It's funny that this is my last thing. I'm sorry, because I know we were like one more thing. we keep drafting guys to be the heir apparent to Kelsey. It was Landon Dickerson. Then we moved him to guard, and we're like, well, he's an all-pro guard, so we'll just keep him there. Then they drafted Cam Jurgens to be a guard, and I was like, well, he's a Pro Bowl guard, so we'll just leave him there. And we keep drafting these heir apparents to Kelsey at center, but Kelsey just keeps staying and being the best center. Yep. So we just move them to guard, and they just end up being good guards. So I don't even know what we do at this point. I don't know if we move one of them to center and draft a guard. I have no clue what we're gonna do. It's just very funny.
Just put melodic center.
They make him at running back.
Can you imagine him at center?
Micah
Jalen Hurts could never see over him.
Never. Micah is playing in the NBA Celebrity All-Star game. He will absolutely windmill one.
Dominate.
Or posterize. He's going to posterize some TikTok streamer.
Can't wait.
I think that Kai Cenat guy is like 5 foot. So he's very funny, but he may get posterized by Micah Parsons.
He's going down. Speaking of what's going down, Aiden, tell everyone what is going down and where they can listen and watch and subscribe and what is coming up this offseason.
Oh, yeah. The YouTube numbers have been fantastic. So follow us there. It's at Birds vs. Boys Pod on YouTube. On Twitter, at Birds vs. Boys Pod. So we've been having a lot of the content coming from the Super Bowl week. We'll keep that coming through the Super Bowl and then obviously into the offseason. Our clips from the shows usually end up on our TikTok, at Birds vs. Boys Pod, and then on our Instagram as well. So any clips from the shows that you want to find, you can find on those 2 social media platforms. As for the podcast itself, you can find it anywhere that you can download and stream podcasts. Spotify, Apple, Google, anywhere like that. You can find us anywhere. We'll be here long after the season ends. It's actually then becomes our favorite season with draft and free agency talk.
I will be watching the game alone, probably with a toddler sleeping. Aiden, so
no, I'm coming.
You're coming over. You're going to talk to my wife about why the 49ers are Hamas.
I'm going to give her a crash course on the hatred that I have for them, and then we'll all be kumbaya.
Watching the commercials and eating some ranch dip.
Ooh, can't wait.
Enjoy the Super Bowl, the last football game that is meaningful until we kick off in Rio de Janeiro.
Oh, can't wait. Cannot wait.
Vegas to Brazil.
Crazy.
If you woke up some guy that died in 1975 who loved the beginning of football and you told them where these games are being played now and how they are, they would not believe you.
Exactly. They'd have can't believe anything that's going on.
And good night.
See you after the Super Bowl.
I will see you then, or I will see you on another time.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds versus Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things. I got 2 phones. Upset alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there.
There's no hope. Hope is gone. If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes. Bob Hope. I'm going to drink bleach. That is
the team you promised me you were going to be this year.
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.